Hey, how you guys doing out there? James Humphrey with the Socialist Productions Movie Reviews. I got my host with me, co-host Jimmy McMillan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we are going to talk about the Batman. Oh, I love it.
Continuing on with our Batman month, we are continuing with Christian Bale, the Dark Knight trilogy, Christian Bale movies. Batman Begins.
The sore throat Robitussin Batman.
Yeah. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and then The Dark Knight Rises.
Sounds like a porno.
Yeah, I know, right? I think we're going back to 2004.
Yeah.
When they decided that the first 4 Batmans were terrible and we need to restart this whole thing over again.
They weren't terrible.
Old and terrible. How about that? Because Michael Keaton's movie was old, and then the other ones were terrible.
Forever was good.
Yeah.
Forever was good.
So anyway, 2004.
Except for this little cape thing that Two-Face blew him up and he turned into this like morph thing.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was.
Yeah, right?
Anyways.
So 2004.
2004, they rebooted the whole entire franchise with a whole new origin story, introduction to other characters, blah this, blah that.
Really made it more adamant on the whole no killing bullshit. I noticed, like, even though, how many people died in his movies because of him?
I don't want to talk about that.
Or got severely hurt, something. So there was some kind of repercussion, and
I believe in every single Batman movie, Batman has killed somebody
or been the reason of their death,
or the reasoning of their death.
Rachel.
He doesn't really save a lot of people.
No, he really don't. I mean, I'd assume that's probably how a real hero would be anyway.
Anyway, for the most part, Batman Begins made a shit ton of money.
Dude, and to be honest, though, it wasn't a bad movie. It was actually pretty badass.
Movie. It was actually really, really good because then it got deeper into the comic books. It got more original with the story of Batman, how he became Batman, everything. The whole
trained by Ra's al Ghul,
no gun,
League of Shadows.
So that's a discrepancy because Batman was never trained by Ra's al Ghul in the comic books. They had a rivalry.
Yeah, because he was the world's greatest detective, and Ra's wanted to recruit him for the League of Shadows to take his mantle.
Yeah, take his successor as the mantle, but he never trained with him.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. That's like a big red flag in the movie there. But anyway, I mean, Ra's al Ghul was a good villain because it actually brought him, from the comic book into the real
and was
world,
able to
wither. It's not like a
set
cartoon.
It up long term. Yeah.
Scarecrow.
Scarecrow was badass. Like,
had Scarecrow for the, I think this would be the
actually,
yeah,
and he was in all 3 movies.
Yeah,
so.
But I think this is the first time Scarecrow was in live action because he was never in the Adam West Batmans. All the other Penguin, Riddler, and all the other people were in the Adam West ones. But I don't think Scarecrow has ever been
in an actual live action.
So
I never really paid much attention to that. I figured he was in one of the old ones, but I never really watched Adam West.
Brought in a new character with Katie Holmes, Rachel Dawes, who's like
completely like not even part of the Batman story originally.
Just some random chick, if I'm being honest with you. I'll just throw it out there. She's some random chick.
And they kept the Falcones.
Yeah.
So that was cool. The whole mob boss and stuff.
I think Carmine Falcone was this is the first time he was in a live action part 2. Don't quote me on that one though. They talked about him in other movies.
Yeah. But they never really
played into it. So that's some. And then
and he was realistically the reasoning behind Batman because the guy that killed his parents was working for Falcone at the time. And he got him off the hook too at the court. And that originally because he went back to go he was going to shoot that guy, and Rachel was all disappointed because he was actually planning to go through it, like killing the killer of his parents. And then that's when he decided, well, fuck it, I'm going to go off abroad and go, live as a bum and train and learn the ways of the criminals and all that shit. And
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it really don't.
It does not make sense.
Because like it went from I'm going to kill this guy to fuck it, like,
Well, you don't just jump on a boat and then go training around the world.
Yeah. Didn't he stop off at Falcone's first, though? Because he
put the gun
on... Yeah.
So. But this was after he threw the gun in the river.
Yeah.
You know, which whatever. I get
a few
it.
plot holes.
I get it. A few plot holes.
But
you know, because then when he first gets to the temple,
yeah,
he fights, you know, Raz, who's disguised as another character, or more or less playing another character.
Yeah.
And he's naming off the several martial arts that Batman already learned before he actually teaches them ninjutsu. You know what I mean? So it's obvious that he's had training before he was training with Ross. All right, but I guess they didn't really dive into the different other, you know,
where he learned it
trainers
from.
and stuff like that, right? And so he was gone for 7 years. You know,
a long time.
So in the movie, he's already playing. I guess the timeline. He's like 35 when he originally becomes Batman. All this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so
see how he does it. My knees can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, no. And so does all the training. Doesn't kill Roz.
Yeah.
Blows up the whole fucking, you know,
the city in the process,
monastery or whatever the fuck, you know.
Oh yeah.
And kills how many other.
Because he won't kill the one dude to finish his initiation, but the whole fucking thing burns down and half the League of Shadows go with it. Mm-hmm. So he killed what, probably like 50 people? Well, 50 for one. The math is
And then I guess the plot twist of the movie is that Scarecrow is working for
Roz in the end because they were gonna do the whole fear gas.
Yeah, and then I guess this is a legit thing about Ra's al Ghul is that he more or less, the way he saves people is more or less hitting the reset button and blowing everything up, burning it all down, you know.
Dennis.
So his whole plot of the movie is to more or less turn Gotham into his own fear toxin gas, which really doesn't make sense because you're not really saving anybody.
I was going to say, because how's the city going to restart after it's officially become Resident Evil, basically?
I don't know. His plot twist on that whole thing is... But I can see where Christopher Nolan and David S. Goyer, the people that wrote the script and everything, were trying to bring all the characters together. So it all works out, more or less in the long term. Christian Bale, to me, is a good Batman. He most definitely got a
it's coming. It's coming.
I know people don't like his voice. I don't mind the voice. The voice doesn't fucking bother me.
Man. Like, dude,
the voice doesn't bother me because, I mean, the idea is that even in the comic books, you know, as you're reading the comic books, you're disguising Batman's voice as not his real.
Okay, so you would go,
you know, voice,
deeper tone. You know, I give a little in the back. Not, I'm Batman. I got a sore throat. I can't talk right. Where's Rachel?
Other than the voice, you know, the scare tactics, all that, the gadgets and everything else, A+. Most definitely good.
Yeah.
I think
what was it? Fox was Morgan Freeman's character. He was a new one, and that was kind of cool.
I wouldn't call him new, but I didn't like how Bruce Wayne was relying on him too much about the stuff.
I feel like he was, but he wasn't. He was more reliant on finding the tech through him. Mm-hmm. But in the end, Bruce modified that tech.
Yeah.
So
I give you that point.
Yeah.
I give you that point. What lacked for me was the action. And this is more or less Christopher Nolan and how he directs whatever, where you can't really see the action.
Yeah.
It's more or less a bunch of quick camera movements and stuff like that, where you don't actually see Batman punching somebody. It's more or less like an off-camera set of him punching somebody.
And the whole
but you just
thing.
Know that Batman's fucking people up. You know what I mean? And so I think for Batman Begins, what lacked most for me was the action. Like the first fight scene was okay, you could kind of see some of it, but I don't understand why directors, a lot of directors do this, where they put the camera so focused and so close to the actors and what's going on that you really can't see anything that's going on. You see people moving and falling and all this other shit, but you really don't see action, which for me that sucks. So the action kind of gets like a C- for me.
Yeah,
you know,
at least for the first one. Yeah, I could definitely see that. It was a lot more like stealthy, like
and the stealthy stuff is good. You know, having Batman fly around and grab a motherfucker and throw him and all that shit, great.
Threw the guy off the second story thing. You know, like, this fall won't kill me.
And then
it'll break your legs.
when Batman first arrived at the docks with that little fight scene, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
you know, it's just when he was
just picking them off one by one.
But when he was at the end, where it's like, okay, I want to see Batman fuck some people up, you don't really fuck anybody up. You know?
Yeah.
So.
He just lets Roz die on the train.
Well, that's a whole other thing. So they get in the fight with whole Roz and everything else, right?
Yeah. And
then he pretty much says, "Oh, I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you." I'm like, in my book, that's kind of like killing the motherfucker. And there's a few things that, like, again, this is the writing. This is not so much on Christian Bale, but this is the writing, where there's just certain things Batman wouldn't do. Like, he's not gonna crash the train into the garage and have it explode and all this other stuff. I feel like Batman would have had some sort of override for the train rails to just stop the fucking train.
Didn't he shut down the braking system on it, though?
Well, even then.
But yeah.
It's his train.
That's true.
Enterprise built and owns the fucking train, the railroad thing.
Right, so yeah, there should be some type of, like, fail-safe to
it. You would think. And then they had the one guys in the towers, like, oh shit, if the train comes down here, all pipes are going to blow and all this other shit. I'm like, don't you have some sort of
fail-safe in the building?
Fail-safe or some sort of safety manual or some shit if something like this was to happen?
That's a point.
You know, ain't there like a switch you can and then stop the train?
Right, with all the tech they have.
He doesn't have to crash the fucking thing into the building and blow it up. But that's okay. That's okay. Good movie. Love Batman Begins. Awesome.
Yeah.
Moving forward to, I think, 2008.
Nice.
2008.
My personal favorite, because Joker, Heath Ledger's performance was truly legendary.
I believe it's the first, don't quote me on this one, but it's the first comic book movie to get nominated and win an Oscar for.
Really?
Yeah. For Heath Ledger's performance in The Dark Knight. So after that, that's when more or less comic book movies started getting nominated for Oscars and performances and stuff like that. Because first, before then, comic book movies was a fucking joke. Like, they wasn't getting nominated for shit, you know. It's only until after
Can't
that.
imagine after Batman,
you know,
Rob.
Yeah, you know, after that, you know, the Avengers were starting getting, you know, nominations and
I was gonna say, didn't Iron Man come out around the same time?
I believe so, actually.
Yeah,
I believe so. I believe The Dark Knight and Iron Man both came out in 2008, 2009, somewhere around there.
I was thinking Iron Man came out in like 2000. Well,
I think it was 8. I remember I was out of high school, so that's how old I am now. Yeah. Anyway, back to the movie.
Yeah.
So you got the Joker.
Perfect.
Who, I'm not gonna lie, carried this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the movie would have been so good if they didn't write the Joker to be so menacing. I think this is the first time actually in a comic book movie where people were getting killed, like a lot.
Yeah,
like a whole lot. And I'm not talking like
dark. Like,
I'm not talking really like in getting killed like in an off camera kind of way or in an this explosion blew up some people, whatever. Like, people were getting like shot and stabbed and shanked. And
the fucking scene where they're in he gets dropped off on the pool table and rises and kills one dude, and it's like job opening. It's like,
well, just the pencil scene itself is like, okay, well, this motherfucker means business,
right?
You know?
Yeah, it's like, watch me make this pencil disappear.
Yeah, and so
and then John Wick, they always make a thing about him killing with a pencil. Shit, Joker did it first.
Yeah, there you go. Story wise, there's plot holes.
I mean, to every superhero movie, there's plot holes.
Yeah, but there's some plot holes. And I'll tell you the plot holes. So, I'm not saying that the Joker ain't smart. I'm not saying that the Joker doesn't have all these elaborate plans and ideas and all these different things.
He's not. He doesn't have plans. He's like a dog chasing a car. He wouldn't know what to do if he caught it.
Yeah, fuck that. I don't give a fuck who he is. He's not going to strategically, like, you know what? If I blow this up, they're going to get on the boat. Or if I do this, they're going to do this. And they're going to do this. They're going to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nah. And then the whole hospital scene where he blows up the hospital.
I heard that was accidental. Like, he really was hitting the switch and it was supposed to go off, but it didn't, and they just, like, played it in. because it was supposed to go off when he first hit it, and when he was hitting the switch continuously, then it really did like blow up, and that's like that startle in the scene was real. That he literally was like, "Oh shit!"
I want to say all that was green screen anyway.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, he takes over a bus, a whole fucking bus with no security on it, you know, and you got cops and all. Everybody else is all around. I'm like, I don't think he's just gonna go in there and take a bus and then drive off with this motherfucker. And there's got to be like, what, 30 some odd people on the bus, and is it just him on the bus that's driving the bus? You know what I mean? Again, at the beginning of the movie, which was good. The beginning of the movie was good with him, you know, coming up with the plan about stealing all the money. And like, hey, when your job is done, I want you to kill him. And when your job is... Great. But then he just drives the bus off with all the other buses. Clean, smooth, you know. Like it was planned when... Come on, man.
I mean, maybe.
Nah.
I mean, the Joker, like, overall was, like, really, really slick.
Yeah.
Like, even in the cartoons, like, he...
I'm not trying to take any credit away from him. I'm not trying to do that. All I'm saying is... You must be on the drawing board on a lot of contingencies and a lot of different variables and everything else.
He had that shit planned.
Yeah. I think the biggest surprise for me was the Batpod. So, the Batmobile blows up.
Oh, yeah.
From a rocket launcher. It's a tank.
But it can't take a rocket launcher.
It can't take a rocket launcher. Blows up, tumbles, whatever. Batman pops out with the Batpod. He's driving around and...
That thing was dope.
It was dope. Sound effects were a little off. That's only because they shot it with IMAX cameras. And, you know, obviously Christopher Nolan, the director that he is, he's very... he's not only a visual director, but he's very an audible director. So all of his sounds of the glass breaking and everything else is... They're off, but they sound good. I'm not saying they don't sound... I'm not saying they sound bad.
They probably just sound better when it's like blown up through like a big super
broken
speaker.
Glass don't sound like a woo. You know what I mean? But anyway, Batpod was good, flying around, driving, and everything else. Again, Batman killed a lot of people in this fucking movie, but didn't kill the Joker.
Yeah,
it's really
he had the opportunity and everything.
Very bad.
Like...
And then my biggest discrepancy with the Dark Knight is again. Batman just wouldn't do some of the things he wouldn't do if he was like, I don't know, a different Batman or something. I'll give you a fair example. When Joker throws Rachel off of the fucking building. Batman goes in, runs in after her, he catches her, and he like uses his cape to break his fall off of a taxi or some shit. And I'm like, Batman's not gonna do that shit. He's gonna grab the heifer and then shoot the grappling hook back up to the top of the building and zip line back up to the top of the building. You know, he's not gonna not use his grappling, you know.
I mean...
Even at all the cartoons that you've seen, have you ever seen Batman just jump off of a building and not use his grappling hook?
No.
And just land on a car and like, oh, you good? Oh, damn, the Joker got away. You know what I mean? My bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was going to say maybe, well, from a realistic standpoint, they've been dead.
Yeah.
But
I'll give you another fair example. When the Batmobile's doing the chase with the Joker and all the whole Harvey Dent big chase scene, whatever. And I'm like, don't you have like spikes and all sorts of shit?
Right, like some James Bond
to
shit.
Stop
like, yeah.
the convoy? Like you're ramping up the Batmobile to stop a rocket launcher. You know what I mean? I feel like you would have had some heat seekers or some shit, some oils, and he did have some gadgets out of his Batmobile. I'm not saying he didn't have any gadgets. I'm just saying.
I was gonna say he had guns on that thing. Like, why don't you just shoot out a fucking tire?
Like rolling around, ramming cars and shit. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nice little trick where he went underneath the car or underneath the semi and popped it up and all this other shit.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why don't you just like blast a tire or do some
like,
some electronic shit, you know, something, you know, because I feel like that tipping over the thing that would have killed somebody.
And also with that though, how many freaking civilians did he kill in that chase? Because it's like all those cars he wrecked. Somebody wasn't walking away from some of those. Like,
but that's okay. The ending. I think the ending is most. It was incredible back then, but if I think about it now, the ending is so fucked up.
Because Two-Face. Well, so That takes to the like birth of Two-Face though.
Yeah.
Because they had Harvey Dent in it.
Well,
and then did they have him in this first one? No, it was.
No, he wasn't in the first one. He was only in the second one.
But so they have him in there, and then Joker kidnaps Rachel and Dent, and
the switch around was awesome.
Yeah, the switch around was a good like plot twist. But he gives him the addresses, and after Batman beats the dog shit out of him in the interrogation, and then
think about it. He's in interrogation. The cop is watching him. He's not handcuffed. He's just sitting there talking shit, you know.
Yeah.
And that's how he gets a hold of the one cop, because he's egging him on. I'm like, why is this dude not in handcuffs, and why is he only being watched by one cop?
I thought he was in handcuffs.
He was not. He was just, I want my phone calls. Like, dude, come on, man.
I'm pretty sure he was in handcuffs.
He was not in handcuffs. Dude, on God, he was not in handcuffs.
I want to go double check that later.
Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. All I know, he came out with no handcuffs.
Yeah.
So, and then how are they not going to frisk the people like coming in and out of jail? You know,
it's true.
It's like you got this fat fuck here with a bomb in his belly. You know, they strip search people in jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
well, maybe not for holding. They don't strip search for holding, I don't think.
Yeah, I guess that's a point. How you not know this fat fuck got a bomb in it? How they not know?
But with this whole switcheroo thing, though, he goes and Rachel gets blown up, and then Two-Face, like, his face literally gets burnt. So it's a little different than, I think, the cartoons. Wasn't his acid in the cartoons?
Yeah, it was acid in the cartoon.
Yeah.
But then it was still an explosion.
I thought that was dope, though. Like, the way they did Two-Face in this. How realistic.
The special effects was actually really, really good.
Because, like, his eyes, like, literally... Like,
yeah, well, if he, like, took a drink, it'll, like, come out of the side of his face. That was actually... It was really good.
Yeah. For sure on that. Like, that was fucking sick.
Are we going to talk about the ninja skills of Two-Face?
Yeah.
There's, like, 3 or 4 times this dude, like, sneaks up on people and kills them. So when he sneaks up on Sal Maroni, he sneaks up on his fucking one guy that sneaks in the car,
and then it's like for an attorney, he sure does have some.
He got some fucking moves. Like, where did he get these moves from? These ninja moves from?
Right?
Did like Batman teach him something, or
he's pain driven?
You know,
he's strictly pain driven.
And then he puts the seatbelt on and shoots the driver.
Right?
Gets in this big tumble wreck. And just gets out and just, you know, all right.
Right.
Like it's a Fast and the Furious movie.
That's where he learned it from. He learned it from Toretto.
I think they did Two-Face right though. He was flipping coins, giving decisions, letting people know like, hey.
I was kind of sad that they got rid of him so fast. I mean, realistically, he could have maybe survived, and they just didn't say that he survived.
Well, here's the thing.
But
Batman pushes him off the thing and kills him. Right? Right? Right?
We'll kill the Joker the whole time, even though Joker
he just pushes Dent over and Dent's dead.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like the good guy, technically, of the film, and it's like...
But then Batman falls from the exact same thing, and he's fine. Well, I guess he hurt his knee. You know, that's about it. He limped his ass to the Batpod, but that was it.
Skyrim. Here's the thing, he used to be a great Batman until he took an injury.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. He takes the blame for Dent killing all the people, blah, this, blah, that. But this is what I don't understand. This is why the ending is fucked up. He stops being Batman.
Yeah.
And you only find that out till we get to The Dark Knight Rises. Which was in 2014? I believe it was 2014.
No, it was 2012, I think.
2012?
Yeah. Either that or 2011. Somewhere
11 and 12, somewhere around there. Yeah. Where you find out that this dude literally stopped being Batman for fucking 9 years.
Dude, I put him in his late 40s probably.
He was 35 in Batman Begins.
Oh yeah, so he'd be up there.
The Dark Knight came out about 2 years afterwards. Somewhere around there. 2 years afterwards.
So he'd been doing it for a little while.
Doing it for a little while.
So yeah, he would be close to probably 50.
And so he has a little gray on the sides of his head.
Yeah.
You know. He still has that same knee injury, walking around with a cane. And apparently there's no crime in the 9 years that
after he stops being Batman.
After he stops being
like
Batman.
so this whole shit show with the Joker, Dent, all
apparently
that,
they have the Dent Act. They have this Dent Act where, you know, it holds all the bad guys that Dent put away, the gangsters and everything, and they've been holding them for 9 years in jail. I guess awaiting trial, or I don't know what the fuck the hell they're waiting on. Sentencing.
Sounds like the justice system, though.
Yeah, some shit like that. You know. And we all know what happened.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger got killed, or he killed himself. More or less, unfortunately. And so the idea of the Dark Knight Rises was supposed to revolve around the Joker getting out and all this other shit.
Which I'm sure they had to change after that.
Yeah, so. They changed it up, switched it up to the main villain being Bane. And
Tom Hardy as Bane was, it was different.
Here's how
I feel like in a sense he made a good Bane. It was that freaking everything about these movies come down to the voice. Joker had a dope voice. Batman had a sore throat, and Bane just sounded very strange. He sounded like Deckard Cain from Diablo, man.
Here's the fucked up part. The voice was so bad that people couldn't hear it in theaters that Tom Hardy had to go back and redub his voice for like the DVD release.
Really?
Yes. It was that bad.
Damn. I could see that, though, because like when I went to watch Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises in theaters, and I could definitely see that because like it was so muffled under that mask, and
it was really bad.
Yeah,
it was really bad. They played this part where Bane was more menacing than he was being this big power buff motherfucker. I think that was the main thing about Bane was the venom that he takes that makes him bigger
and so incredibly strong.
So much incredibly stronger that they took away from that. And I think for me that's what killed the character. You know what I mean?
I can see that because
it's like it's not interesting anymore.
The venom at that point was just in the mask.
It was just in the mask to keep the pain from Bane. They more or less brought all the three movies together in one revolving ending, more or less.
Yeah, because Talia was in this one, which was Ra's al Ghul's daughter.
Yeah.
So and she was getting vengeance for her father.
Yeah, it's more or less it's a sequel from the Dark Knight, but then it brings a lot of stuff from Batman Begins into the third one.
Yeah. And
the story is more or less Bane being part of the League of Assassins, which he really had no affiliation with. Anyway, being part of the League of Assassins, and what did he say? Bringing back Ra's al Ghul's destiny or some shit like that. I don't know.
I don't remember.
The biggest letdown is Tom Hardy is only like 5'8", 5'9", and Christian Bale is like 6'2". So in the fight scenes between both of them, there's a lot of camera trickery to make Tom Hardy look taller or bigger than Christian Bale.
Still boots?
No, they do a lot of fighting on stairs.
Oh, okay.
They do a lot of fighting on like unleveled surfaces.
I did notice though, it seemed like Christian Bale was like kind of crouched a little bit more in some of his fight scenes, especially on the grates when he breaks his back. Yeah,
you got to really look at it. Like when he picks them up, he doesn't lift them up very that high. You know, whatever.
So.
And kudos to Tom Hardy. He did have to gain like 40 pounds of muscle to play the role.
Good God.
Yeah. And so he looked like nasty. But here's the thing. Whenever you see Bane, it's always a very high camera angle or a very low camera angle. You don't just see him just standing there. If he is standing there, he's standing there from a distance. And hopefully nobody else tall is standing next to him to make it, look the way it looks. Like even when he smashes the guy's face, the camera's up above.
Versus,
just looking at him, snapping some dude's neck.
I can see that.
Yeah.
So,
I know, right? Crazy, right?
Right. So, and then they had Catwoman.
I forgot about that bitch. Anne Hathaway played a good Catwoman. I'm not saying she played a bad Catwoman. She did all right.
The outfit, though. Anyways,
well, that's about it. My biggest letdown was Robin.
Oh yeah, because it was a completely different origin for him because he was at the orphanage.
Well, this is what they did with Robin. They more or less, because there had been like 5 or 6 different Robins.
Yeah.
In the history of whatever comic books, they more or less put them all together, put all their different origin stories together, and mashed up the Robins.
I was gonna say because he was more or less set up to be more of a Nightwing than Robin in that one. So.
Yeah. Because
and him being a cop originally too was kind of a throw off.
Nightwing in the comic book, Nightwing was a cop.
So that makes more sense.
His alter ego was a cop, but then Tim Drake, the third Robin, was an orphan. You know, and then they like I said, they just smashed all the different Robins together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If I had to rate them,
Dark Knight wins hands down.
And I was so in love with the Dark Knight. But I'm saying Batman Begins, man.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I would say, honestly, Dark Knight, and then Dark Knight Rises, then Batman Begins.
Really?
Yeah. Because, I feel like the action is more there in the other two. And then, the plot twists and all that, especially because... What the fuck was her name? Because it was Talia, but she was posing as somebody else to get her hands on that fucking... Yeah.
Miranda.
Yeah. So she was posing for that, and then it was just a twist. Because originally I didn't really think it was I didn't think anything of it of her being Talia till boom, she outs it, and it's oh shit, what a twist.
Was a good plot twist.
So,
and then again, I just don't.
And they had Scarecrow again in that one. So
he played on
because he did. It was kind of like the Arkham City game, because the whole criminals took over the city in that one part, and
well, you also got to think the Dark Knight Rises spans. It's 9 years after the Dark Knight, but then it spans another 6 months. So Batman had a broke back and was in jail for 6 months trying to recover, trying to climb his ass out of the cave.
Yeah, that's true.
Which again, I felt like Batman could have just climbed out of the goddamn cage. He's Batman.
Well, if his back's broke and he's got a heel...
Well, he was training, he was doing the sit-ups and everything, and you couldn't climb your ass out of the cage? How could you not know that the rope was too short for him to jump across the thing? I understand why they did it in the film. They try to do the whole, empowerment thing, he lost his chi, he had to get his orb back up and running and everything, get his mind reset so he could go
become
against
Batman
Bane
once
and
again.
everything.
So.
The thing about it is that when Batman fought Bane, he knew he wasn't stronger than Bane. He knew he couldn't go hand to hand, toe to toe with Bane because he was a big motherfucker.
Yeah.
He'd always use his gadgets and everything else, which he doesn't use.
Which in the cartoons and comics wasn't Bane a mercenary anyways, just a... Because I thought he was this little Spanish mercenary guy because he had that Spain accent and shit. So it's
he was more or less a mercenary hired from other gangsters / villains to take on Batman. More or less is what happened. So, we got to talk about the other elephant. And this is the last elephant before we end the episode. Batman is not. He's not really the hero of the story. We're not gonna, talk about Jim Gordon and his SEAL Team 6.
Okay, fair enough.
Because without Jim Gordon putting the thing on the bomb or whatever, bitch would have blew up the whole city. Batman fucked up. Batman failed.
Yeah.
So at the end of between the Dark Knight Rises, Jim Gordon and his other cops were, doing all these different things to save the city and everything else. Yeah. Which is a little odd. I'll tell you why it's odd. Because first, Jim Gordon is played by Gary Oldman, who never plays a hero in any of his movies. Every single one of his movies, Gary Oldman is playing a bad guy. This is one of the few films where he's playing a good guy, which is a little weird. But anyway, he more or less tag teams with Batman a lot, which is good because in the comic books and TV shows and everything else, he did a lot of tag teaming with Batman and all this other stuff. But that's more or less him letting Batman do what Batman has to do to save the city. He wasn't really involved in the whole, oh, you need me to do this, or I got to do this, and all this other stuff. So in The Dark Knight Rises, I'm like, Batman's really not the fucking hero here.
Yeah, he's just doing the handiwork of beating up the bad guys.
He took the bomb, flew it over the city, whatever. But
granted, which that was kind of its own plot twist because he fixed that autopilot on the thing, and that's when Fox knew that realistically he wasn't dead when he seen that it was.
And all the other bullshit. Like I said, it is a Batman movie.
That and the whole ending with Alfred going to what was it, like Italy or something. And
but if you think about it again, in Batman Begins, if Jim Gordon didn't blow off the train, it wouldn't have went into the...
Yeah.
Okay, and then in The Dark Knight, well...
I was going to say, The Dark Knight, he
was there. He was more or less doing shit. I guess he did arrest the Joker, which was his intentions in the first place. I don't know why the hell he would even fake his death. That doesn't make any sense. That's a big plot hole right there.
Yeah.
I couldn't risk my family. Like, ain't nobody worried about you.
Right?
Right? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, that's right, because he killed the other commissioner with the poison on the glass.
Yeah.
So,
But still, how are you going to fake your death? Like, he got shot, and then he wasn't dead. Like, he didn't go home.
Yeah.
Like, where was you staying? Where was you hanging out through the next 30 minutes or a couple of days in the movie? And then had to redisguise himself as a SWAT team member.
So somebody had to know. Like, how do you get into your own SWAT team without somebody knowing who?
I'm gonna leave that one alone. Anyway.
Holy shit, what a fucking plot hole.
Yeah. Anyway, at the end of the movie, or at the end of The Dark Knight Rises, I felt like they should have recognized Jim Gordon in SEAL Team 6, 7, 8, or 11, or whatever. Yeah. The group of people he was with. Because they are the real heroes of the damn movie.
That and Nightwing at that point, because
they're the one pushing the trade. No, fuck that dude. That dude didn't do shit.
They got the kids out of town to safe.
Fuck that dude. Like, he didn't do shit.
Kids, man, kids.
He tried to save the kids. He blew up the bridge. Dude told him, like, if you take another step, I'm gonna blow up the bridge. But he took another step, he blew up the bridge. He didn't do shit.
Sure. But he was gonna take up the mantle in the end once Batman was gone.
Did he? Was it?
Right, maybe. I don't know. No. They set up for a fourth one if they want to. Nightwing Rises.
Anyway, I'm going ahead and cut it there. Right there with the whole Nightwing Rises thing.
Buy my ideas for sale on eBay.
Stay tuned for next week when we go over Batfleck. And Pattinson, whatever. Robert Pattinson. Okay. I guess I call him Pattinson or whatever. We're going to talk about Ben Affleck's Batman.
Sparkly Batman.
Twilight. In our final episode of Batman Month.
Oh.
Come see us then. Jimmy McMillan, James Humphrey, Associates Productions, Movie Reviews. We'll catch you guys next time.